Good evening. Glad y'all came this evening. I would like to call us to order. This is our Jacksonville City Council meeting for Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. We do have a quorum. So our first item will be our invocation given to us by Reverend Dale Jamerson. He's the pastor of St. John's United Methodist Church. Brother Dale, if you'll come, if you'll stand, and then we'll follow that with the pledges. Thank you.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come together this evening thanking you for this wonderful community, for every person that is connected from the city to the citizens, in every aspect, every department. May thy blessings be upon this evening and its business that is conducted, that all may know that their voice is heard and thy will be done. Grant us a safe night. May peace be upon this nation and upon this council. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. We'll start with a special presentation. The Employer of the Month will be presented by JEDCO President Shane Pace. So, Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This evening I am presenting the Employer of the Month Award to Brookshire Brothers. I have with me this evening Mr. Patrick Green, and he is the store manager for the Brookshire Brothers, so if you want to come on up, and then I'll turn around to the audience. Okay, great. Well, I just want to tell everyone in the room, every month we acknowledge and honor one of our employers of the month. They are employers that are doing great things in our community, whether that's just employing people with good paying jobs, making improvements in their businesses. And one of the things you may have noticed is that the Brookshire Brothers has had somewhat of a facelift. They've had a new paint job, new signage. They've also made some improvements on the interior of their building. So we just want to thank you guys for being a part of Jacksonville, for the investment that you're making, and just all that you do for us. So thank you so much.
Our next items are, I have 5 proclamations. When I was in grade school, I hated to read out loud in class, but I've got to get over that tonight. So, our first one is a proclamation of EMS Week. So I will read it first. And we have a recipient for EMS Week. Come on. To designate the week of May 15 through 21, 2022 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care.
Oh, the bills are due.
They're ready. Go ahead. Y'all want me to take that? That's right on cue. That's right. Well, we see them in action in that. Whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services have grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week, now therefore I, Randy Gorham, Mayor of Jacksonville, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through 21st, 2022 as Emergency Medical Services Week. So, congratulations. Oh, two on the other side? Okay. Good, thank you. Thank you very much. You bet. Thank you. Yes, sir.
One down.
One down. Our next one is Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month proclamation. And I had the great honor, they had a taco cook-off Saturday. Robert Dye asked me to be a judge. Again. Ate a lot of good food. Met a lot of new friends. Today is, whereas today's society is there you go. Today's society is finding more citizens involved in motorcycling on the roads of our country. And whereas motorcyclists are roughly unprotected and much more likely to be injured or killed in a crash than other vehicle drivers. And whereas campaigns have helped inform riders and motorcyclists alike on the motorcycle safety issues to reduce the related risk, injuries, and most of all fatalities through a comprehensive approach to motorcycle safety. And whereas it is the responsibility of all who put themselves behind the wheel to become aware of motorcyclists, regarding them in the same respect as any other vehicle traveling the highways of this country. And it is the responsibility of riders and motorists alike to obey all traffic laws and safety rules. Whereas urging all of our community to become aware of the inherent dangers involving in operating a motorcycle, and for riders and motorists alike to give each other the mutual respect they deserve. Now therefore I, Randy Gorham, Mayor of Jacksonville, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month. So congratulations, guys. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's going to be panoramic right there.
Very good. Thank y'all for coming.
We're going to take a call too.
Yes, sir, thank you. Police Week. Police officer.
It's funny, last year, I remember we could hear them all.
Thank you, guys.
It's like the train going by.
Yeah.
Our next proclamation is a Peace Officers Memorial Day and National Police Week. Whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the city of Jacksonville, Texas. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States has designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty, including 4 members of the Jacksonville Police Department here in Jacksonville, Texas. Whereas the International Associations of Chief of Police have declared law enforcement officer safety and wellness a top priority, and the IACP Center for Office Safety and Wellness promotes the importance of individual, agency, family, and community safety and wellness awareness. And whereas the members of Law Enforcement Agency of Jacksonville, Texas play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Jacksonville, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression and intimidation. Therefore, I, Randy Gorham, Mayor of the City of Jacksonville, Texas, formally designate May 15 through 21, 2022 as Police Week in Jacksonville, Texas, and publicly salute the services of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Mr. Chief.
Stand up, Nathan.
Cool.
Only time you have a lineup with all smiles.
Thank you.
What's up, Brian? How are you? Welcome to the team. Yeah.
Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Good to see you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. You bet. Our next proclamation is National Skilled Nursing Care Week, May 8th through 14th, 2022. Whereas we honor and respect our elders and citizens of any age with physical or intellectual disabilities who reside in skilled nursing care centers in Jacksonville, Texas. Whereas skilled nursing care centers throughout the area are holding numerous events in observance of National Skilled Nursing Care Week, May 8 through 14, and we're using as this year's theme, Creating and Nurturing Connections. And whereas I urge all citizens to virtually visit or call a loved one, family member, or friend residing in any care setting and offer a kind word and spend time participating in various virtual activities to unite those from all walks of life in need of our continuing love and support. Whereas my administration is committed to quality health care, we take this moment to embrace the essence of the theme, Creating and Nurturing Connections. Let's join all skilled nursing care centers, their staff, volunteers, residents, and their families and friends in celebrating this special week. Now, therefore, I, Randy Gorham, Mayor of Jacksonville, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 8 to 14, 2022 as National Skilled Nursing Care Week, a week to honor the important role that skilled nursing care centers provide in caring for and protecting our most vulnerable citizens. Thank you. Good deal. Thank you.
What's her name? Peaches.
One more. This is National Public Works Week proclamation, May 15th through 21st. Ready and resilient. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, emergency management, and services that are of vital importance to the sustainability of our communities and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Jacksonville, Texas. Whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are federally mandated first responders and the engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government in the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public's interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Jacksonville, Texas, to gain knowledge and maintain ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works, their first responders, and public works programs in their communities. Whereas the year 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association. Be it now, therefore, I, Randy Gorham, Mayor of Jacksonville, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week May 15th through 21st as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join the representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. I think that does it. We have the next one. I'll defer to the Chief of Police. He's got an award he wants to present.
Every day we have the opportunity to impact regular people's lives in sometimes very heroic ways. Not necessarily as routinely, but frequently we're able to save someone's life. And today I have two separate occasions that occurred in April where a police officer's interactions actually saved two people's lives in the city of Jacksonville. So first I'd like to have Sergeant Dean Wild and Corporal Cody Rodriguez come up. So on April 4th, we received a 911 call at our dispatch center of a male having a heart attack, an apparent heart attack. They were close to the area. They arrived on scene. CPR had been started by another person on scene, but it was ineffective because of the way they were doing it. They corrected the position, took over, and performed CPR until the medics arrived, paramedics arrived, using AED, saved the person's life. He's well and good right now. So because of their efforts and the efforts of our fire partners, that man's still alive. And I want to give them the life-saving medal. The award says Sergeant Dina Wild and Corporal Cody Rodriguez has earned the life-saving award bar for outstanding performance on April 4th, 2022 that directly saved the life of an unresponsive citizen.
Wow. Great.
And one more. Corporal Ronnie Claymore. So on April 21st, at the intersection of Jackson and Tina Street, there was a horrific motorcycle versus car collision. And during impact, the motorcycle rider hit at such velocity that he lost his leg on impact, and the leg was laying in the middle of the road. And the rider of the motorcycle continued on for about 150 more feet, came to a stop. Corporal Claiborne was very close and came out. A bystander was assessing the rider. Corporal Claiborne pulled out a tourniquet and put it on the missing limb, stopped the bleeding. Medics quickly arrived there. There's no doubt that he is still alive today. There's no doubt that because of his quick thinking and use of a tourniquet, another life was saved. Corporal Ronnie Claiborne has earned the life-saving award bar for outstanding performance on April 21st, 2022 that directly saved the life of a critically injured citizen.
Great.
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet. Thank you. Isn't Jacksonville a great place to live? Yes. Our next item is citizens' participation. This is where we set aside some time to hear from someone that wants to address the council. We have one that has filled out the proper paperwork. Her name is Shay Whitaker. If you wanted to come now and come to the podium, and if you'll state your name, your address, and if you'll kind of maybe limit your comments to about 3 minutes,
Oh,
that
it's
would
not
be
gonna be
great.
that long.
It's not going to be that long. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shay Whitaker. Thank y'all for letting me speak. I work at the Cherokee County Public Health Department as the community health care worker intern. And basically what I do is go out in the public, knock door to door, to get surveys from our citizens to see what they need for us health care-wise, health disparities, and all of that. And we partner with different doctors' offices in the whole Cherokee County. I've been in New Summerfield, Alto, everywhere, to help uninsured and underinsured women get free breast scan if they qualify through the doctor office. And the doctor office would do the referral, and if they qualify with all the paperwork, they'll get it free. And also, women that are insured will be able to get it too. And that's all I have to say.
Well, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. You bet.
You're welcome.
Our next item is a public hearing to hear and receive information on mid-year budget adjustments to discuss and consider with possible action an ordinance approving said budget amendments as presented by staff.
Yeah, Mayor, City Council, prior to accepting any comments, I'll ask Roxana Briley, our Finance Director, to make a presentation. Roxana, do you want to run this, or do you want me to? Sure. Press to the right. Sure.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Each May, we look back at March. It's 50% of the budget is completed. And then we clean up any budget items that are related to actions that the council took subsequent to the budget being adopted, and then also based on our projections on where we're going to end up at the end of the year. So the end of March is the sixth period, or 50% mark. And at this time, general and utility fund combined revenues are at 10.9 million. This is greater than our budgeted expectations at 57.3% of the annual amount. And the revenues are increased 248,000 or 2.3% over last fiscal year. And on the expenses side, we're at 8.3 million, which is less than the revenue we received, which is always good. And this amount is also less than budgeted expectations, also good. It's at 44.7% of the annual budget amount. And we're decreased 227,000 or 2.7% from fiscal year 21. That's right, we have increased revenues and decreased expenses from last fiscal year. So that's really good news. In the general fund, property taxes are the primary source of revenue, and our collections are on track to meet budgeted expectations, with 92% being collected through the end of March. Sales tax account for the second greatest revenue source, and we're forecasted to end of the fiscal year. This is my forecast based on where we stand right now, plus flat with last year. We've been experiencing increases from last year, so I feel safe to say that we're going to be flat with last year at least for the rest of the year. That gives us $445,691 greater than what we budgeted. So that's going to be one of the proposed budget amendments. Franchise fees are also tracking ahead of budget and are forecasted to end the fiscal year a little over $135,000 greater than budgeted, and that's mostly related to landfill fees, the royalties we get for trash being dumped at the landfill. On the other hand, our fine and forfeiture revenue was budgeted high, and it's not tracking as we expected. And also our ambulance fees, they are not tracking as we expected in the budget. So those will also be on the list for proposed budget adjustments. Total general fund expenditures of 5.6 million are below budgetary expectations, with only 44.3% being expended through March. And I'm forecasting us to end the year about 3.5%, or about 450,000 less than what we budgeted. And I'm only covering our top major funds, the general fund and the water fund here. The other funds are pretty restricted on the uses, and these two are the ones where the budget can vary. In water, wastewater, our primary source of revenue is water sales and sewer sales, and I'm forecasting that we're going to end about 145,000 less than what we budgeted. And that could always change just depending on how dry or how wet the year is. This year so far has been pretty wet. Utility fund expenditures total 2.6 million or 45.6 through the end of March, and I'm forecasting that we're going to end up about 136,000 greater than what we budgeted. So mid-year budget adjustments, here's my list. This whole page is related to council actions taken from October through what I'm expecting to happen tonight. I think, do y'all want me to read through that list or no? Okay.
We're good.
Okay, so where do the budget amendments put us? We started out with 3.8 million of fund balance, and our budget said we were going to end at 4.2 million. With the adjustment, that number increases to 4.8 million at the end of the year. So it's an increase in revenues and a reduction in expenses. In the capital projects fund, this one looks really crazy because of the public safety complex. Whenever we budgeted, there were a lot of bills that hadn't been paid yet. So that amount got actually put into last fiscal year, but we budgeted for it this fiscal year, and that's why there's a $5 million amendment. Grant fund, the changes there are related to the downtown revitalization project, the amount that JEDCO paid us, and then the increased amount for the expenses related to that project. Hotel motel occupancy fund, the big thing there is the tax notes and the purchase of the Civic Center. So sale of tax notes and revenue. Also, greater than expected hotel occupancy tax revenue. That's where that other $92,000 comes from. And then $1 million for the expenses related to the Civic Center. And like I said, on the utility fund, I'm forecasting the revenues low and the expenses a little bit higher, but that revenue number certainly can change depending on the weather pattern for the rest of the year. And then in utility capital projects, this is primarily just capital projects that were brought before the council and approved. So for all funds, we started out at 10.5 million when we were doing the budget, but really when we were doing the budget, that number was like 17 million because of the public safety complex bond funds. After we did the audit and put that stuff back into last fiscal year, 10.5 is our audited beginning fund balance, because we never would have budgeted with an ending fund balance of $4.2 million. So this fixes that and gets us to an ending fund balance for all funds at $8.4 million, which is not out of line with our history over the last 5 to 10 years. And that is all I have. Do you have any questions for me regarding the proposed amendments or the mid-year review?
Thank you.
Thanks, Roxanna.
So I will open up a public hearing. Is that correct? To hear and receive information. If anybody wanted to come and speak in favor of or against it, now's your turn, if you'd like to come. Okay, seeing none, we'll close that portion of the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the ordinance approving the budget amendments as presented by Roxanna Briley.
Very good. We have a motion by Councilwoman Mindy Gallick, second by Councilman Hubert Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Our next item is another public hearing to hear and receive information regarding a requested special use permit at 225 South Main for a food truck park, and discuss and consider with possible action an ordinance.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, as you're aware, in March at the regular City Council meeting, you adopted new ordinance related to mobile food trucks, mobile food parks, and operation sites for food trucks. Tonight, the next two items are first applications for said SUPs related to mobile food truck parks. I'll remind you that in approving or denying a special use permit for a mobile food truck park, the ordinance states that the City Council shall consider, in addition to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the nature of the proposed use, the proximity to other mobile food truck parks, proximity to existing brick and mortar restaurants, the number of food trucks allowed within the mobile food truck park at a single time, existing uses in the surrounding area, noise, dust, light, and traffic generation, health and sanitary conditions, and the compliance with other regulations of the Code of Ordinances. So this first request tonight, the applicant is here. It's at 225 South Main Street. It's currently a parking lot just south, at the intersection of South Main and US 79 or West Rusk Street. The applicant is here, and we can invite her to make a presentation. I will say at last week's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which was held on May 4th, the Planning and Zoning Commission made a recommendation. One director, Ms. Pavletich, made a recommendation to approve the request with a variance for restrooms. And that motion was seconded but failed to carry, and that was the only action taken by the P&Z. So truly, we came out of the motion without really a recommendation for or against this request, and it's before council this evening.
Very good. So I will open up the public hearing. If anyone would like to come and speak in favor of or against, now's your time. So,
if the applicant would like to make a
if
presentation,
the applicant would like to make an
let's have that
application,
first.
yeah, please. Sorry, I wasn't trying to skip you. So.
My name is Whitney Graham. And thank you so much for everything you do for our community. I am thrilled to be a part of it, and it's been 150 years, way before all of our time, that this sweet little town has been in existence. I don't want to have a food truck park. I think that that is where this got off a little off because of the new regulations that were put into place in March. I actually have had this food truck, which is a beverage truck, for 10 years this season, if we are able to continue. My daughter and I started it when she was 1 year old, and she just turned 11 last week. We have taught children many things that have worked with us through the years. Over 150 jobs have been created. We were at the Greenhouse Mall parking lot for a long time, 7 years, and then the parking lot was sold, was 6 to 7, and we were told, or the business was sold, and we were told that we couldn't be there any longer, and so we found a new location on North 69, which was at the old Fat Boys parking lot that was still there. And we put in a commercial kitchen. We abided by all the rules of the restrooms and all of that. We continued our work for another almost 2 years there. And then right around the time of the snowpocalypse, we got a call that evening before that the lady had sold the property, and we had 30 days to pack it up and move and disconnect all of, the commercial kitchen and everything that I had put in there. So at the same time I was doing everything else that we're doing, I had to move that business and find a place that I could be and not have to leave, and I owned the property. So at that same time, Suzanne Conrad, just out of the blue, said, I bought a building downtown, and I don't need this building for what I thought I was going to use it for. Would you like to buy it? And I said, I most certainly would. It's perfect because it's right next door to the food truck park where I need to be with the new regulations in a food truck park. So I went and made an agreement with Suzanne Conrad and her wonderful husband, and I did a lease to purchase, which closed on just a couple of weeks ago. And sometime in early March, Daniel Torres and I, who owns the lot of the plaza downtown, of the food truck park there, and I spoke on the phone, and we had been in contact throughout the year and talked about the different things that had not worked out well. First of all, I was promised a location in our original agreement in the food truck park that was never abided by, and I was moved up to, I believe, 6 times, finally facing the back wall where the end of the trailer was all that you saw. No logo, nothing. There was trash, there was gunshots, there was a hole in the side of the building that I was leasing put in at a party. The kids were very scared. In fact, most all of them quit. And I think there may be some people in this room that remember that. I went to the police department, tried to call them many times to get the records so I could show you all. I'm not here to open another food truck park. I'm here to keep kids safe, and I'm here to keep kids active, off TikTok, off drugs, pregnancy, all of those things. That's what I've been doing for 10 years this year. Now, I was told that with the new regulations that you have to have a bathroom on the actual parking lot parcel of land. And I had put in already health-coded a kitchen in the building that I bought from Suzanne. And I had already been running it out of there for a couple of months last summer when we realized with the number of incidents of calling the police and the people being followed to their cars, that this was not a good mix of young girls and men and alcohol. So Suzanne reached out to me again and said, would you like to buy this parking lot when I'm ready to sell it and put your truck over here? And in the meantime, you can move it and then lease it from me. So I gave her a deposit and I told her, yes, ma'am, I would love to buy that parking lot from you. I reached out to James and I told him that my vision was to not only have additional parking for downtown if it was safe, but to put my one food truck, beverage truck in there, continue my business, and potentially use it for other things that the city might seem necessary, potentially a farmer's market if that's necessary. other ways that I could work with the city to make more available space, not just parking. And when we met, he was very clear that the new regulations had to have certain things, and one of them was restrooms on the same parcel of land, and that I would have to apply to be a food truck park. So I think when the trucks were drawn on that paper, it displayed a different intention than my original intention, which was to buy the building, which I did, at 221 South Main, which is now my third building that I've purchased and rehabbed on Main Street. And it was to put in the commercial kitchen to abide by the laws that had been set forth some time ago with the food truck policies. And I did that. And then I leased a spot, which was not the spot that I originally leased. I continued to pay to the Torres family, Daniel Torres, for a year. And it did not work. So I was never intending on opening a food truck park. But because my daughter said that she wanted to try to continue this business, I decided, and all the other parents and all the other kids that are calling me for jobs right now that are waiting for this to open, I decided to take Suzanne up on her offer and buy the parking lot when she's ready to sell it after she purchases another plot of land. So she's waiting for that. When that goes through, she will not need the parking lot and she's going to sell it to me. She's here tonight. So I think that with the Planning and Zoning Committee, I just wanted to clarify that because I did not bring up the police part of it and the crime and the other struggles that we had there. I didn't want to do that because I believe the Torres family is doing good works for this town and they're adding to the whole. But because it was not visible and it was guarded by almost 3 walls, if you count across the alley, you weren't able to see certain things that were happening in there. And so we had to take it upon ourselves. Rocky went down there multiple times protecting the girls that worked there while we waited for the police, who came every time we called. That's what I want to do, just keep my business going, keep kids in jobs, and we have a bathroom that's able to be used tomorrow in the building. And I didn't open my business March 15th like I've done every other year for 9 years because I was told to wait on this meeting. And the bulk of the business happens to pay for all those kids to work from March 15th until June 15th. And my accountant is here and can tell you that that's the truth. And she can also tell you that I've never made a dollar at this business. I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart for this community. Any questions for me? I pray that you will find it out of the goodness of your hearts to see that there's less than 25 feet from the truck where it's located to the door, the rear door, and I can move it to the front of the parking lot, and it would be, again, maybe 20 feet to the front of the door of the building at 221 where they could use the restrooms and we would not have the truck open when the restrooms are not available.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay, now I'll open it up as a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak in favor of or against, now's your turn. If you'd like to come to the podium, state your name.
Next to neighbors on the right, if you're looking at neighbors.
My name is Mahim Torres. We have the plaza 2 doors down, the Main Street Plaza. I'm here against it. There's rules y'all set, and if y'all not gonna follow the rules, which I put the rules for, there's a place right there. I've never had a phone call to the cops. I don't know what security reasons they're talking about. I don't know about being moved 6 times. She got moved to the back corner because she wasn't open. So if you're not open for half of the year, what I need you there, like a sore thumb there. So besides that, there's already one food park down this road, and I just don't see a need for another one. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of or? Great. If you'll come and state your name. Hi.
Suzanne Conrad.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that there's been some negative downtown, but I really think this is going to turn back around and turn it more into a positive again. this parking lot, it's mine, and it can be cleaned up. It needs to be cleaned up, and it needs to be utilized by this town. Right now, I had just chains on it just to keep it off and keep it cleaned up as much as possible and keep things out that weren't positive. And so Whitney came and asked if she could rent it, clean it up. You don't get a lot of renters that come up to you and ask if they can clean your property up. So when she did, I said, absolutely, if you'll make it a farmer's market for the community, something we can all use, and use it for the kids to bring them in, it's nothing but a win-win for the town. And we know we've got a lot of traffic up and down that road. And to see something positive and something more, attraction to downtown, that's our heart. That's what we want to do. That's what we've been working so hard for, is building up the downtown. And we've done an amazing job. And to stop it now and to say to other entrepreneurs and investors, no, we don't want you to, we're going to judge you before you, that's all I've got to say. I think it'd be a positive. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor of or against?
Judge.
Yes.
All right.
I'm Jessie Woodson. Me and my husband, along with another couple, we own Neighbor's Coffee, as pictured. The parking lot is, it's not ours. We're not going to claim that it's ours. We've made the same offers and phone calls, and let's try to work a deal out to, where we can lease some spots, and can we repave it and then buy it? Can we repave it and then lease it? And it was always no, but I think I understand now that there was a prior agreement, which is fine. But what I just wanted to say was the issue from our heart is that this shaved ice business is seasonal, and it does happen to be right now. Like if it was open, if the bathroom was open tomorrow, it would be, there would be some, it would have to happen right now. But also what is happening right now is the parking lot that is now all of a sudden public access, which was a great partnership, thankfully for Jedco. They worked all that out together. It's right now being utilized more than it has been. And we opened in January, and it's being used a lot more than it was when it was chained off on the day of our opening day to people that came to support us. So it's it's a little bit touchy, but I think it would be hard, it would be disappointing just for everybody, anyone that's a citizen that's coming to patron downtown. They're gonna circle around, and if there's nowhere to park, they're not gonna come because you can't even walk on the sidewalks currently, which that's gonna be great. They're doing a great job. On the other side, our side is just not there yet. So I just wanna say that the timing is poor because the dire need is just easily accessible parking. Our only option is that you go in our back door, and you can't even really see it from the road. We did purchase a sign that directed people that way, but it's just hard, you know what I mean? Like that's a very highly needed area, and the shaved ice business could still operate next door to 100 feet away, and Main Street eats as it has. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you. Anyone else? You bet.
My name is Rocky Brock, and Whitney's my better half. Jacksonville's had a parking issue for 30, 40 years. If you have a good product, they're going to come and get your product. No matter where you're parking at, a mile away, they're going to come for your product. Anything Whitney puts her hands on turns to magic. Any building you go into, any property she does is magic. If she gets a super snow there and she can do a farmer's market or whatever her brilliant mind has in mind, it's going to be magic. So this is what that town needs, is magic. And Whitney Graham's the one to give it to you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak in favor of or against it? Okay. I think I would like to, at this point, go into executive sessions per Texas Government Code Section 551.071 to consult with our city attorney, and 551.072, real property. So we will adjourn and go into executive sessions, and then we'll come back shortly. Thank you. So it's 7:22, and we will reconvene into regular session from executive session.
And I would like to announce that earlier today, I, and along with the city manager, met with a lawyer for the applicant on this item, for the item 8 for the SUP request, and came up with a potential idea to propose and that could potentially be agreed upon, and that is the possibility of approving the SUP requested upon the following conditions. First is the purchase of the parking lot by the applicant within 60 days, have the closing of that be within 60 days of today. Second is the purchase of a strip of land behind the neighbor's coffee shop there, also within 60 days of today. Replatting the property into one lot within 150 days. Having ADA compliant restrooms there in the existing building, along with a certificate of occupancy for the use of the restrooms in that building, and have that portion of the process complete before opening for the season. Resurfacing the parking lot and stripe to allow for public parking. Final completion of those items to occur within 180 days. Also, the trailer would need to be off-site during the off-season, specifically after Labor Day until March 15th. That be limited to one trailer, that being Super Snow, and having at least 4 parking spaces in the lot for the public. And the city would waive the expiration of the special use permit upon the pending sale of the parking lot to the applicant.
So we're still in the public hearing phase, right?
Yes, unless you'd like to close it.
No. Hearing no other comments for and against, I will close this portion of the public hearing. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the SUP based on our city attorney's information
Okay.
and his guidelines.
I have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen.
Second.
Second by Councilman Tim McRae. Is there any other discussion that we may need to have? No. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Our next item is another public hearing to hear and receive information regarding a requested special use permit at 501 Larissa for a food truck park. So, and then to discuss and consider with possible action. James, you have any comments on this?
Now, Mayor, City Council, this is the property located at 501 Larissa Street. On May 4th, P&Z considered this SUP request and made a motion to recommend approval of this. 4-1 was the vote. This is for a taco truck at 501 Larissa. The owner owns a restaurant there on the kind of left-hand side of that structure with restrooms inside, and parks the trailer in the parking lot.
Okay. So I will open up the public hearing for anyone that wants to come and speak in favor of or against at this point.
I just have one question. Does that have an ADA bathroom that you're requiring Whitney to have in her building?
I do not know that.
The building currently has a CO, so they're not required to rework the restrooms. We're under the impression that the restrooms in the building that, right, yes.
I just was curious about that though.
When I added onto my building years ago, I didn't substantially increase over 50%, so I didn't have to redo mine, and they are not ADA. But if I went over the 50, I would have. So, anyone want to speak in favor of or against on this public hearing? If not, I'll close the public hearing and I guess entertain a motion, and then we can discuss.
I'll make a motion to approve the SUP.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Tim McRae,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Rob Goen. Any discussion? I mean, I'd like to know, there's a mini mart over there that's being reconstructed, a brand new, and where is that in conjunction to where this location is?
That would probably be about 3 parcels to the south, nearest the intersection of Larissa with West Rusk Street.
Okay, so it'd be to the right.
To the right on the screen, yes, sir.
About 3 blocks down.
About 3 parcels, maybe only maybe 2. I believe there's a laundromat in between.
Okay.
And then it potentially is the, I'd have to look on a map.
No, that's close enough. Yeah. And he's going for a food truck park, so that means he could put as many as he wanted to in there based on parking
He's
restrictions?
indicated 1, and we would want to make that in our motion if it was to be approved tonight, 1 truck only.
Okay,
And I'm good with amending my motion as such.
okay. Approving it for his one truck only.
For his one truck that he currently has there now.
Yeah.
And the reasoning behind so many people doing this with one truck.
To me, that's not a park.
Well, it's not, but
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to do it for my one truck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just to meet the new codes we put in place.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay. Any other discussion we may need? And he meets all the requirements?
Yes.
To the letter of the law?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have 1 opposed. Councilman Mindy Gallock. Motion passes 4-1. Our next item is to hear and receive information on a requested special use. Did I close that? Yeah, I did, didn't I? Okay. Hearing and receive information on a requested special use permit for an electronic sign at Cherokee County Stock Show and Exposition, 611 Southeast Loop 456, City of Jacksonville.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, this is an SUP request for an electronic variable messaging sign as required by the new sign ordinance. These signs are becoming more prolific as the costs come down, and that's the reason for the SUP. These are something you want to control. This is unique in the fact that the show barn actually sits outside the city limits. However, the sign sits nearer to the Loop 456 and lies inside the city limits. That picture, the sign's actually been improved since that picture, but generally the existing sign still meets both the height requirements and surface area requirements. P&Z at the May 4th meeting unanimously approved this, recommended approval of this SUP request.
Okay. So this is not a public hearing, according to our agenda. Is that correct? It is a public hearing, okay. Okay, no, so I will open the public hearing up for anybody that wants to come speak in favor of or against. Hearing or seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve a special use permit for the electronic sign at the Cherokee County Livestock Show and Exposition Center.
Have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen.
Second.
Second by Councilman Tim McRae. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Our next item is our consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda require little or no deliberations by the council, and basically it's approval of our minutes from our last city council meeting and our agenda workshop, and to reappoint Judge Paul Mascott as municipal court judge. So I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion by Councilman Tim McRae.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hubert Robinson. Any discussion on those two? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. I think we've covered 12. Sufficient action out of the executive session. Item 13, discuss and consider with possible action a resolution canvassing the May 7, 2022 special and municipal elections.
I'm going to turn it over to City Clerk Greg Lowe for this.
Okay.
I don't have it with me. We held that election on May 7th.
Correct.
And Mindy, I think, received 44 votes. It's in your packet.
Right.
Ron received 70.
Correct.
And the
Proposition A was 180 votes for and 107 against.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
184 for, is that what you
That's correct.
So I'll entertain a motion on that.
I make a motion, we approve the resolution canvassing the May 7th, 2022 special and municipal elections.
We have a motion by Council Lady Mindy Gallup,
Second.
second by Councilman Rob Goen. Any discussion about that? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 14, discuss and consider with possible action an ordinance setting the utility disconnect policy.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, as discussed in one of our recent workshops, staff is recommending 2 amendments to the utility disconnect or utility billing ordinance. They're seen here on the screen. The first is to change the late fees for residential customers from $15 to 10% of their bill. In most cases, this would be a reduction. Most people don't have a $150 water bill. And so they would see a reduction in their late penalties, hopefully allowing them to pay on time and continue to secure water service. And the disconnections would occur 30 days after non-payment as opposed to 60 days, and this is to limit having write-offs at the end of the year. What we've noticed is that when you get them 60 days out and you have the late fees, the 15 and 15, it compounds and it can get out of hand pretty quickly. And then we have people on payment plans. And we will expect to start in June pending City Council action this evening, and we'll do some notifications and we'll use some new tools to let people know when their past payment or deadlines are approaching.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion on that item.
I move that we approve the ordinance setting the utility disconnect policy as presented.
Okay, have a motion by Councilman Tim McRae.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hubert Robinson. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Our next item is to discuss and consider with possible action an ordinance regarding excessive barking.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, recently it came to light that our current ordinances only contain a provision related to barking if the dogs are unconfined. However, dogs that are confined or maybe on some kind of lanyard or in a fenced-in area, oftentimes those are the ones that do more barking because they can't get at what they want. But we have no ordinances on the books to enforce that. So the body of the ordinance is this, that any person who shall keep or harbor any animal which by long or continued loud vocalization shall cause the peace and quiet of the neighborhood or the occupants of adjacent premises to be disturbed shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, and a separate offense shall be deemed committed upon each day during on which such violation occurs or continues. This has been reviewed by both the city attorney and our chief of police who's over code enforcement and the animal control.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve an ordinance regarding excessive barking.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Rob Goins, second by Councilman Tim McRae. I think at one time there was some discussion about
15
barking in
minutes.
excess of 15 minutes, but
Yeah.
we got rid of that, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Okay.
How do you gonna go about controlling dogs and barking?
I don't know. I don't know. But I think it puts
let
the
the
teeth in
beatings
it where they can
commence,
cite
Hubert.
to give a
Bring it in the
citation to
house.
the owner. Yeah,
The dog's family will have to figure that out.
right. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? One?
Me, yeah.
Okay, we have a no, passes 4-1. Item number 16 is to discuss and consider with possible action approving a contract with New Gen for utility rate study.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, the city does have a history of working with New Gen Strategies and Solutions. They've made a proposal in the amount of $29,500 to do a water rate study, water and wastewater rate study in the city of Jacksonville. This would help project future rates based on CIP and the needs of our water and wastewater systems. As you're aware, these are enterprise funds, and customers and ratepayers are truly, their rates are supposed to fund adequate maintenance, expansion, of the system. And so we need to make sure that we're on top of our water rates as it pertains to some of the new projects in the CIP. Of course, we have the $5.7 million estimated sewer line project underway. We have another $250,000 sewer project before us later on in this evening's agenda. And we need to make sure we can fund these off of, again, rates as opposed to general fund or ad valorem taxes.
Okay. I'll
We're
entertain
gonna
a motion.
stick with it this time?
Yes, absolutely.
Pinky swear, everybody? I want to make a motion that we approve a contract with New Gen for a utility rate study.
Okay. Have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second.
second by Councilman Tim McRae. Any discussion?
We'll keep this thing,
Yeah, we'll keep it going.
Roxana.
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay, keep us on it.
she'll keep us on task.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 17, discuss and consider with possible action awarding a contract for utility system annual supply contract.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, the city recently solicited competitive bids for the provision of miscellaneous parts, valves, clamps, anything it takes to maintain and address issues in our utility systems. Core and Main, who again we do have a relationship with, is the only provider, and we do recommend award to them. Again, it wasn't a lump sum total. It's basically by piece, by part, if you will, and the supplier as needed. So this just kind of locked in our quantities. Typically, over the course of a year, we would spend over $50,000 on these parts here and there, and so it's important that we try to secure the best pricing.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion on that item.
I make a motion, we approve the awarding of the contract for utility system annual supply contract.
Okay, we have a motion by Council Lady Mindy Gallick.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hubert Robinson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 18 is to discuss and consider with possible action approving new ambulance fees.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, Emergicon is the city's emergency medical billing counterpart. They do handle all billing for us, and they're recommending an increase in our rates. It's been 2018 was the last time we increased the rates. You can see the fleet of 3 of our 4 ambulances there in the picture, and obviously we had several of the fine men and women who run them every day with us earlier this evening. Emergicon is also recommending 3 additional policies and the authority to administer the policies, and that would be prompt pay collection. It allows them to offer customers discounts for prompt pay. Disposable charges, it allows them to waive the fees associated with the different disposables that may be administered in the ambulance. Those would be things like masks and gloves. And a write-off policy allowing accounts that are beyond a certain period and below a certain threshold to be written off. And I believe that threshold's 180 days and $100. And they do anticipate that the increase in rates would generate about $18,000 or more per year of additional revenue to the city. In most cases, the additional fees would be covered by insurance providers. If they weren't to be covered by insurance providers, we do offer an ambulance subscription service here in the Jacksonville. And I encourage folks to learn more about that program on our website under the fire department page of the city's website to sign up for that potential service. And you do see the the proposal on the increases, nothing going up more than $300. And the different services or levels of care rendered with the ambulances.
Okay. Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the new ambulance fee structure.
Have a motion by Councilman Tim McRae.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mindy Gallick. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 19 is to discuss and consider with possible action a supplemental environmental project work order with Stokes and Associates.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, staff is seeking City Council approval tonight of a professional services agreement with Stokes and Associates. They do a lot of work, design that be on our sanitary sewer system. Scope of services as proposed tonight is $48,000 for preliminary design, final design specs and bid documents, TCEQ correspondence, and construction engineering. The cost of this project is estimated at $250,000, and bids would be expected to be taken or collected in August of this year. This project would be a complement to the upcoming Texas Water Development Board project, again estimated at $5.7 million. Specifically, this is in the area of the Sunnydale apartments on Sunnydale Street. There's some known inundation and I&I issues in this area. There has been TCEQ enforcement action taken in the past, and this would be a supplemental environmental project, basically allowing us to spend money on a project to improve the situation as opposed to a fine to TCEQ. You'll note there on the slide the chartreuse color, the blue color there. Those are some existing lines, but the green and the dashed yellow would be the new infrastructure. This would serve not only the Sunnyvale apartments, but also Cardinal Health, a huge employer and a big manufacturing plant in town. So this should conceivably alleviate all of their issues, and then we'd move forward with the TDWD project later.
Okay. You've heard that. I'll entertain a motion on that one.
I'll make a motion that we approve a supplemental environmental project work order with Stokes and Associates.
Have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen.
Second.
Second by Councilman Tim McCray. Any discussion we need to have?
Nope.
If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 20, open forum for mayor and council. Anybody have anything to say?
Dropped out.
You're talked out. Amen. Nothing? All right. City manager's report.
Sure. Mayor, City Council, I want to call everyone's attention to next Tuesday at 10 a.m. at the Public Safety Complex at 911 South Bolton will be the police officers' memorial ceremony. If you were able to attend that last year, it was held at Love's Lookout. However, this year it will be at the new facility at 911 South Bolton. Again, 1 week from today, 10 a.m. Tuesday, May 17th. Also want to thank our firefighters for their response to a structure fire at the Green Trails Apartments off the loop. Last week there was a single unit involved in the fire. It was quickly making its way toward the attic, and thankfully quick response and quick action by the team. They were able to extinguish the fire, limit the fire damage itself to one unit. There was some water damage based on a water line being broken in the apartment complex, and obviously using water to extinguish the fire. But all in all, a great effort by our fire department to save an 8-unit apartment complex or apartment building there at the complex. We do have the unearthing of the time capsule tomorrow. It's kind of the first big event that our Sesquicentennial Committee has planned on the city's behalf. We hope you'll join us at Hazel Tilton Park, the site of the former Central Fire Station here just west of City Hall, tomorrow, May 11th at 11 a.m. So we'll have the mayor and some other folks out there will unearth the time capsule. It's in some kind of tube, which will have to be open for the first time in over 50 years, or right on 50 years actually. And we don't know what to expect, so it should be exciting. We'll be live streaming that as well on Facebook for people who are unable to attend, but we thought it was important to open it exactly 50 years from the date that it was buried. And a big thanks to everyone who was involved in our cleanup event over the weekend. 40 tons of trash were disposed of at Saturday's cleanup event, so that's 80,000 pounds plus disposed. We filled 14 roll-off containers, and then additional people took trailers directly to the landfill on that day. It was a full force, full team effort orchestrated by Daniel, but it took heavy lifting from our public and community services, our fire department, our police department, our code enforcement officers. We had animal shelter employees out there. I think we had some library employees out there. Everybody made a great showing. Thanks to Bill McCray Ford. They accepted the tires free of charge, and Tim may have got a little more than he expected. How many did you get?
They were still pulling them out.
Hundreds of tires were received at the donation station. Over 55 gallons of motor oil was brought to us. And a big thanks to Cumberland Academy. Daniel's wife happens to work there. And Cumberland Academy, and specifically their high school out of Tyler, brought 48 students down to Jacksonville, Texas to hit the streets. Over 300 bags of litter were collected. Wow. So, and Republic, again, thanks to them being on site, they cooked hot dogs for everybody. They had over 240. I don't know how many they ended up cooking, but it was a rather hot day. It was kind of one of the first warm weekends, but a success nonetheless, and I appreciate everybody's effort.
It was a great event, and I think Daniel we owe him a lot of credit for putting this together. I wouldn't mind seeing it more than once a year.
Bet. Well, with that, we will stand adjourned at 7:48. Thank you for coming.